There's a problem out there in today's society that nobody is talking about, and it is the most dangerous thing out there in the world for men. Too many men are losing their ability to focus, they're losing their ability to work, and they're falling behind on their missions and their goals because they're engaging in this activity, in this situation, in this whole industry. And I feel like it's my responsibility and duty to help young men all over the world to break free of this cycle. What's up, guys? My name is Sumedh from Thoughtcast, and if you guys don't know me, I'm a life coach, I'm a dating coach, I'm a relationship coach. I work with people in a lot of different areas. The big thing that I see a lot of times when it comes to men is a lack of confidence and a lack of ability to focus in today's society. We live in a society that's filled with so much stimulation, and on a day-to-day basis, we are going from here to there trying to find things that stimulate us. But there is one thing out there in the world that is more stimulating than anything else, and it kills a man's confidence. It causes brain fog, it causes a lot of health problems, and it destroys a man's ability to be a man, and that is pornography. Yes, I said it, pornography. Some of you might be very perplexed by this. Some of you might say, porn, how is that so dangerous? It's literally pixels on a screen. Some of you might even say that you've done research on it, and there's articles out there that say that pornography is good, that ejaculating and masturbating once a week is actually very healthy for you. There's a lot of science out there that supports this, but I'm here to tell you that that is not true. I'm here to tell you and stand on it that this is a lie. Pornography is very, very bad for you. I'm going to highlight the dangers of pornography, why you should stop using porn, and how you can stop using porn, and how you can ultimately help others to do the same thing as you. I'm going to start off with a little bit of a story here. When I was younger, my father passed away, and I remember moving to Baltimore, Maryland with my mom because we couldn't afford, the mortgage on our house. We had to rent our house in New Jersey because my mom just didn't have the money, and she got a new job in Baltimore, Maryland, where she was able to make a little bit of money, but it required her to work quite a bit. So when I lost my dad, my mom and me moved to Baltimore, and I barely saw my mom because she had to work all the time. Mind you, I would go to school and I would come home, and my mom would probably get home later in the night, but I had a lot of time to myself. As a young boy who had access to the internet, I found something magical, or so I thought. I started looking up adult film sites, and at first, I was kind of turned off by them. I remember being like, this is crazy, this is weird. But over a period of time, I became so fascinated with them. In fact, it's probably all I could think of during the day. See, when I moved to my new school, I didn't have a lot of friends. So I would sit in class all day. I wasn't very popular. I wasn't the coolest kid out there, but I did have something that was waiting for me when I went back home, and that was privacy and pornography. And I would go home, and I would fire up the computer, and I would start exploring these adult film sites in a private window. And man, it was a lot of fun. I would spend hours a day watching porn. And at first, I didn't really care about the sex. I was a young kid. I cared about just looking at women's bodies. I didn't even really know what I was doing. And I would look at this stuff and I remember being so excited by it. Like I was doing something that was so wrong, but it felt so right. It made me feel like I had this secret that nobody else had. And, I never really even talked about it with anybody else. I know there's a lot of people that might have, but I didn't. I kept it all to myself, and I didn't tell anybody. And for years, I engaged in watching pornography. And at a young age, I didn't really see this having any effect on me. I didn't really notice the pullback from pornography. But what I did notice was the fascination I had with it. Fast forward to a few years later, I was still watching pornography. But I never really noticed the problem with it. I was always talking to women, and I thought it was very normal that if I didn't get a girl that night, I would, just fire up the computer and watch some stuff. And eventually that computer went to my cell phone. We now have cellular devices that can basically do anything that we want for us. And the pornography experience on a cellular device is absolutely insane. So I would fire up this cellular device, like many of you do, and watch porn. And I thought it was totally normal until I started to notice the side effects of it. Until I started to notice that sometimes when I was out and I wanted to talk to a girl, I just thought, I don't have to talk to her. I can just go off and get out. And at one point, I remember very distinctly looking at a girl that I would much rather go home, sit on a computer, and jack off than talk to this woman that was sitting there right in front of me. That is when I realized I had a problem. And that is when I realized I had to stop watching porn. Now, I didn't even discover Nofap. I just was thinking to myself, I had to stop watching porn. And so I began this journey to try to stop watching porn. And I'm going to tell you right now, it was very, very unsuccessful. I would always relapse. I would go 2 weeks without watching it. And the 2-week mark is insane. I mean, when you get to the 2-week mark, your whole body is craving for anything. And it's so easy to just get on your cell phone. Literally just get on your cell phone. Get on Instagram. Anything just set me off. And the triggers that I had just from being on social media, just from working in nightlife, just from being out and about, it was insane. I could not stop. To be honest with you, it took me a long time to stop watching pornography. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you how I stopped and how I've helped a lot of men out there in this world stop watching pornography. This is not a paid video or a paid course. This is completely free from me to you on social media because I want this to change your life. I want you to be better, and I want you to not fall into the pitfalls and traps that exist in modern day society with the sex industry. So let's begin today's lesson, and let's begin today's episode. So I stopped watching pornography about 4 or 5 years ago, I would say. And for someone that was in their mid-20s to do this, it was really hard. And there are a lot of triggers in society that kept me relapsing on porn. I would be able to stop for about 5 to 10 days, but, after that, it was really hard. And so for all of you out there listening to this, you might not be able to go a day without watching it. You might be able to go a month without watching it. You might be able to go even a year without watching it. But it's about cutting it out of your life completely. It's about never touching yourself again in that fashion to pixels on a screen. First and foremost, let me highlight the dangers of the porn industry. The porn industry is not what you think. I actually had a really good conversation with a friend of mine, Joshua Broom, and he was one of the top porn stars in the world. So this is a guy that's living every 18-year-old dream, living my 12-year-old dream of literally sleeping with the hottest woman out there. You would think like this guy must be really happy. He must be really proud of what he's done. He wasn't. And it was eye-opening for me to talk to Joshua because he told me so much about how the porn industry worked. First and foremost, everything you see is scripted and fake. All the guys are on some kind of pill. The women are taking some kind of numbing cream. They literally don't even know each other. There's no chemistry. They literally see the photo of the girl and they just jump right into it. They're expected to perform. And the crazy part is this. At the height of Joshua's career, right, I think he was doing about 20 to 25 scenes a month. He had to save the ammo. He had to save, the sauce for the production. So he couldn't have casual sex and casual relationships. And the relationships that he did have were automatically screwed up because he was here engaging with women on a sexual basis on a day-to-day basis. No woman in her right mind that was conservative, that was more so in the mindset of raising a family and wanting to be one-to-one with him would have engaged in that. So he was dating other women that were in the industry, which was basically just his girl being rammed out by a bunch of dudes on a day-to-day basis. It was insane for him. The trauma that he went through to deal with that, he talked about it in great detail with me. That's just, it's not normal. This is an industry that's very abusive, that glorifies men to abuse women. This is an industry that creates unrealistic fantasies. This is an industry that is very dark. They underpay people, they lie to people, and they manipulate people to engage in acts where they sacrifice their own dignity. The women that you see in pornography are happy for a few years, but over a period of time, they have to do more and more and more to keep their audience satisfied, and it really ends up very, very dark at the end of it. Many female porn stars commit suicide. I remember in 2018, there were female porn stars back to back to back committing suicide. Top-level industry celebrities committing suicide. When they had money, when they had fame, when they had status, but they could not have the intimate relationship that they want because of the career that they chose to. There's a price you pay for jumping into this industry, and Joshua talks about it in great detail. I highly encourage you to check him out. He's a good friend of mine, and it is crazy to see how people that were so high up in that industry failed so miserably in certain parts of life. That being said, this is a bad industry, and you're contributing to it. And you're literally sitting on your cell phone, watching pixels on a screen, touching yourself, and creating a massive dopamine spike in your head for absolutely no work. You have done no work to receive the benefit. So you become demotivated. You lack confidence. You have brain fog. You become lazy. And you start to develop problems like erectile dysfunction. Because what happens is when you watch porn, you evolve in what your proclivities and your desires are. It starts with watching naked women and looking at naked women. Then it starts to certain scenes. Then it goes to multiple tabs on a browser where you're watching only 7 to 10 seconds of a video. Then it evolves to you getting toys and sex dolls and so on and so forth. And then it evolves to you going to conventions to eventually maybe even paying female prostitutes and escorts to get yourself off, to live that fantasy. Not to mention all the cam shows in between, all the messages that you pay for. I mean, regular girls nowadays are making a lot of money on OnlyFans, and that just involves men trying to have some level of control on these regular women. The porn industry and the sex industry in itself is evolving. It's a $100 billion industry. So the articles that you see out there that are saying pornography is good, I could bet you some money that some of those are paid. That some of those are they have some marketing dollars from pornography sites and pornography companies out there. The thing is, you got to understand is that more of this operates in a conglomerate. It's a dark conglomerate. And there's people at the top that sit at this, and they're making money off of your lack of discipline, off of really selling you a drug that you are biologically wired to love. You're biologically designed to like pornography. And it's the most amazing thing, but it's also the most scary thing out there. Watching porn can make any man happy, but watching porn can also make a man depressed, make him weak mentally, destroy his confidence, cause him to not look at women the same way, cause him to become abusive, unrealistic about intimate and dating fantasies, cause him to lose touch of himself, cause him to have erectile dysfunction and sexual problems, cause him to waste valuable time, effort, energy, and resources into something that brings him no benefit whatsoever. You don't know the women that you're watching. You have no idea who they are. And you're literally engaging in an act that is very, very detrimental to your health. It is not good for you. And if you are sitting there lying to yourself thinking that it's good for you, then you are really, really deep, and you need this video to pull you out. You need to sit here, take notes, and listen to what I'm saying. Speaking to all of you out there that are really struggling with pornography and that want to make a difference in your life. So stay with me here as I go through how pornography addiction is so dangerous. There are more men today that suffer from erectile dysfunction than any other time in history. There are more men today watching porn than any other time in industry. There are more people in the pornography industry, in the sex industry, than teachers in schools. There are more women doing OnlyFans than we have teachers in schools. That is crazy to think that there are more women engaging in the sex industry than we have teachers in schools, than we have people raising the future generation of what our world is to be. It's scary. And you have more men today that are lonelier than ever, that are suffering from dopamine burnout, severe dopamine burnout, not only from their cellular devices and from work, but from watching so much pornography and being stimulated by it. There are more men today that are dealing with suicide and depression and mental health problems, and a lot of it has to do with pornography and sexual frustration, not being able to get the woman that they want and watching these scenes and fantasizing about it and not being able to acquire that reality in real life. See, you feel depressed when you're not living your reality, when the version of success that you imagine in your life is not actually what you're living. So a lot of men feel like they should be having this woman in their bed, feel like they should be acquiring these realities into their lifestyle, but they're not getting that. And so they become depressed, so they become sad, and that's where you become suicidal and you end up hurting yourself. Self-harm is at an all-time high today, especially for men. It is devastating. And I want this to stop, and I'm here today to put a message out there to stop it and to teach you guys how to let go of all this stuff. The level of social anxiety is at an all-time high, and porn consumption is at an all-time high. It's very easy for us to go in our homes today, turn on our mobile phone, and watch this stuff. It's very dangerous for you, but we don't think anything is wrong with it. A lot of men, when you interview them, they don't think that porn consumption is really harmful. Moderate porn consumption is not viewed as harmful, and minimal porn consumption is especially viewed as not harmful. But the reality is any consumption of that temptation is bad for you. And it starts with social media. It really starts there. And so what you have to understand is that everywhere you go in this world, there is some level of pornography. There's some level of temptation. Whether you go on TikTok, there's a lot of softcore porn on there. Whether you go on Instagram, there's women flaunting their bodies with OnlyFans links in their bios. Or whether you go on the internet, because 33% of all internet traffic is pornography. 2 out of the top 10 sites are porn sites, right? I think it's Xvideos and Pornhub. And followed by them is a lot of other porn sites that kind of fill in that major block. So 33% of all internet searches are pornography. That is 1 in 3. That is insane. So wherever you go, it is going to be there. On commercials, in TV, in movies, it's everywhere. Sex is everywhere. Sex sells. That's what we've realized. And men are victims to it. So a lot of people ask me how to stop watching porn. And I'm going to give you the basic formula on how to stop. But to be honest with you, you need accountability. And I'm going to get into that in a bit here. So first and foremost, what you got to understand is that porn is everywhere. You have to start changing your environment in order for you to change yourself. The first thing you got to understand is there's a lot of temptation out there in the world. Everywhere you go on your cell phone, from just watching movies, there's a lot of women that are just promiscuous, really. The standard of what we consider promiscuous today has dropped severely. So back in the day, I would say like 20, 30 years ago, seeing a woman walking around with a bikini wasn't so bad. But nowadays, it's like very common. With the feminist movement, there's a lot more appropriation with women being okay to show their skin off. And this is all good, but as a man, you are biologically drawn to this kind of stuff. It is hard to escape. So it becomes a problem when you see it every single day, everywhere you go, and you're not getting that release. Because a lot of men are not getting the sexual release that they need to have. A lot of men are not interacting with women the way that they should be. And the reality is, that's just how biology works. If you look at hypergamy and how it works, the majority of men are not designed to have access to women. And that's a very sad reality that we live in. But you can't necessarily break that philosophy. You have to just understand that that's the game, and you have to become better as a man, and you have to improve in an effort to acquire women. But when you see women on a day-to-day basis everywhere you go, you're tempted. And that temptation evolves. And when you get home and you're in a quiet place, and especially with this device right here, it becomes a problem. So the first thing you have to do is focus on environmental reconstruction. And I'll tell you this very, very in-depth. When you're on Instagram, when you're on TikTok, you're going to be scrolling and you might see a sponsored post or a post of a very attractive woman. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't follow Instagram models unless I know them in person and I'm like friends with them. I don't follow girls I don't know like that. And on my For You feed, it's literally just cars, business stuff, and probably the occasional dog that's a Rottweiler because I love Rottweilers. So when you see them, hit not interested. Hold it and hit not interested. This is going to allow you to remove any bad content that is geared towards that. And it might take you a couple tries to do it. You have to meticulously create your Instagram feed to not show women like that. If you're going on Instagram and you're saving a post, Instagram knows, oh, you like these kind of posts and you want to save them, let's show you more stuff like this. If you're liking and following Instagram models, Instagram is going to show you more stuff like that. The first rule is just stop following these girls. Stop following these girls. Stop following women that are showing themselves off, and stop following attractive women. It is not good for you. I'm telling you, if they are not women that you talk to and that you're dealing with, don't follow them. You don't know them. Stop trying to be a fan for these girls. You're watching pixels on a screen, feeling good. When you see an attractive woman, it's almost like cocaine being injected in your brain. You have a dopamine spike, a serotonin spike. It is really bad for you. That's the first thing. Do this on TikTok and all social medias as well. The next thing I'm going to tell you to do is to work out. You need a natural dopamine source that is more so focused on reward and pleasure that actually requires work. You need to work out as a man. You need to work out. Here's the caveat with this. Working out will increase your testosterone levels, which will increasingly want you to have sex and reproduce. There's a way that you handle that, but you need to work out to train and habituate your brain to understand that dopamine comes with work and with focus and with some kind of expenditure of energy. That's what you need to understand. Dopamine should not be given to you for sitting on a couch and watching photos of a new girl. Dopamine should be given to you for putting in work. Working out does that for you. Now, working out is also going to help you get into better shape, and it's also going to make you look good. I'm simplifying this very much here, but if you have a problem, you got to stop watching those movies that have a lot of sex in it. Also, stop alcohol consumption. Stop ingesting drugs. If you have a problem with this kind of stuff, you have to stop the consumption of these drugs as well in your life, because alcohol reduces inhibition. And so when you have a lack of inhibition, you have a lack of control. And so you have to stop alcohol consumption, and you have to stop drug consumption in general. So it's really about getting clean in life and bettering your life, a lot of things that I'm saying right now. So you're stopping watching the movies, you're curating your Instagram and social media feed, you're stopping the drugs, you're getting into working out, and here's what I want you to do. I need you to start talking to more women. I need you to start networking more. The only way that you're really going to be able to stop this is by talking to real women, is by engaging with real women. That is the number one way that I stopped watching real pornography. Now another thing I want to add here when it comes to your internet searches, the internet is your biggest enemy. You have to actually manually install apps that stop and restrict you from looking at adult sites. There's apps and there's things that you can pay for that stop and restrict you from looking at these sites. The next thing I want you to do on top of that is to join the Nofap community. There's a community of men out there that are dedicated to just to stop pornography, and that's the Nofap community. You have to tell people in the community, and also I would find a buddy, a friend of yours, some kind of group where you tell them, hey, I have a problem and I want to stop. Can you hold me accountable? And can we hold each other accountable to stop watching porn? Pornography is a killer. It is literally so bad for you. And you need to delete all the accounts that you have. You have to let go of all the videos that you have. Some of you might have videos downloaded. Some of you might have sex toys. Some of you might have all sorts of stuff. You need to get rid of all that stuff. And you need to tell a friend to be in charge of you, because right now you're addicted to it. You're an addict. Whether you know it or not, if you're watching it once a year, you're an addict. You should not be watching pixels on the screen and jerking off. It is not good for you. I might sound extreme right now. I'm telling you this for your own good. Stop watching it. Tell a friend. Tell them that you want to stop and join a community of people that are focused on the same mission as you, and immerse yourself in that community. Another thing I'm going to tell you to do that really helped me was I recorded voice notes of myself, talking to myself, being critical of my obsession with pornography, being critical of my fixation with pornography, and telling me how I need to be better and to stop watching this kind of stuff. Whenever I would want to go watch a video, I would put on that voice memo and I would listen to myself saying, stop what you're doing right now, hit a couple push-ups and stop this. A big thing that you should do as well, I kind of alluded to it, is whenever you want to feel that temptation to go do something, get into working out right away. Get into a positive physical state. Start hitting some push-ups, start hitting some burpees, start doing some crunches, start doing some air squats. Increase your adrenal response, because pornography and reproduction has a mixture of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So there's two nervous systems that actually are being into focus here when you're engaging in sexual acts. It's very, very rare. It's very unique. You're actually engaging in an adrenal response, but you're also engaging in a more sedentary response as well. You have to stimulate your mind more and get into a more of an adrenal response, because the more you work out and the more you're increasing your heart rate, the less likely you're going to be able to maintain that erection, and the less likely you're going to be able to maintain that mental state of you wanting to release yourself. Get into workout right away and put on that voice note and tell yourself to stop, 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 stop. It has to become like a mantra. It has to become like a drill. It has to become something that you lock yourself into. And I would do this all the time. Another thing I would do is take cold showers anytime I had the urge. I would have an urge, I would jump in the shower right away, cold shower it, and I would immediately stop feeling the need to watch pornography. All I would want is the need to turn on the hot water. And I would get out of the cold shower, I'd do some push-ups, and I'd try to relax again. I did this for years, trying to stop watching pornography. I mean, I would take 3 or 4 cold showers a day. I would do like 10, 15 sessions of just doing random push-ups, and I would slowly start to stop the trigger point of where I wanted to go into pornography. You have to understand what your trigger is. Is it Instagram? Is it TikTok? Is it being on YouTube? Is it watching a movie? Is it maybe being out? So see, the thing is, being out in public, it's not really going to happen unless you're really at that level, because you're not going to see a girl and then just run home and try to do it. You're going to be out and about, and you're not going to have a facility or area where you can do it. So you've got to control yourself more so at home and in a sedentary environment. Keep yourself busy, keep yourself focused. And a big thing I want you to understand is that there's a cycle for how this happens. The first couple of days aren't that hard. Some of you might not be able to make it one day. And for you, you got to implement all the techniques I'm talking about here very heavily. Some of you might be able to make it like a week to 10 days. That's where it really becomes hard. That's where I struggled the most. I really struggled at the week to 10 day mark because I just needed it. I needed to get that release. If you're in a high-stress environment, if you're in a high-stress job, it's going to be even worse. When you get to about 30 days, you really start to restructure your mind. But realistically, you need to be a couple years off porn to really see the effects of being a normal person. Now that I'm not watching pornography, I sleep better. I have a lot more clarity. I'm more focused. I'm more driven. I'm more confident. I have a lot more success with ladies. I'm just more aggressive. I'm more drilled into the present moment. I'm able to remember things a lot more. I don't have any erectile dysfunction or any problems like that. I don't have any issues getting it on in the bedroom. I can last a lot longer. I don't have aggressive fantasies. I'm able to communicate with women in a more emotional way. I'm able to really win in life. And I'm telling you right now, you're going to be a lot more successful than you are if you don't watch porn than if you do watch porn, because you're throwing time away with porn. Some of you might say, oh, there's very successful men out there, like Terry Crews is a great example of this, that watched a lot of pornography. Yes, but he would be more successful if he did not watch pornography. And he talks about it very openly and how he needed to have it. You know, pornography is a killer. It is not good. And the big thing I'm going to tell you to do is, if you're having problems with pornography, definitely work with somebody that's an expert with this, more so for the accountability purposes of this. I'm not here to sell you a course. I'm not here to sell you a program, but I do want you to be encouraged to work with me on a one-to-one basis, because you need that accountability and you need someone in your life that's going to break down the trigger points of what's actually going on for you in your day-to-day life. A lot of you have different trigger points. A lot of you have different stories and backstories of what you want sexually. A lot of you have to be honest with the proclivities that you have sexually, and we can break that stuff down, look into why you're so addicted or unable to stop engaging in this behavior. But the big thing I'm going to tell you, the big lesson is avoid. Avoid it as much as you can. Avoid until you can build that mental discipline and that lack of fantasy and lack of fixation with pornography. The more you avoid it, the more you're going to win, because you're wired to lose. You're not going to be able to sit around and not watch porn. It's hard to not watch porn when porn is available. It's hard. You're addicted. So you have to just stay away from it. Reconstruct your environment. Don't hang around people that watch porn. Don't hang around areas that cause you to lose your inhibition. Don't put temptation in your life. Live your life by a code. This video is just a generalistic video. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos on certain techniques that I'm talking about here. But guys, if you ever have any questions for me, if you ever want to connect with me, the links are all down in the description below. And I want to give a huge shout out to K&D Group for allowing us to film this video in their beautiful penthouse. Shout out to them for sponsoring the Thoughtcast and for allowing us to really get this message out there to you guys. If you guys are ever in the Cleveland area and you want to look for an apartment, they are definitely the people to hit up. They have the best apartments at the best rates downtown in Cleveland. With that being said, guys, until next time, Sumi out.